Hello everybody, it's me, the Real Local Maniac. I'm back again with another 8-Bit Wars. As you can see, today I'll be playing the classic arcade game, Pac-land. Now, I believe this game was based on the TV series, the cartoon Pac-land. And yeah, basically it's like a sequel to Pac-Man, which was one of my all-time favorite games. And this decided to go a little bit different with the license, and decided to make it a platformer. Now, the first thing you notice, though, is Pac-Man's got like little boots there, and he's got a little hat. You know, like I said, he basically looks like he does in the cartoon. And the graphics look absolutely fantastic. They're really bright, bold, and colourful there. And it basically plays pretty much like Wonder Boy. It's pretty much from left to right, jump things, you collect things as your energy starts to deplete. You get the power pills, which, you know, makes you indestructible. I'm gonna just run for it. Now, the music's pretty nice as well. Now guys, what I do want you guys to pay attention to is the actual look of the game, the level layout, and of course the music. And that's how we're going to compare the 8-Bit Wars, and of course playability as well. Now, I used to enjoy this game back in the day, and I think the reason why I enjoyed it so much was because it did look like a cartoon, basically. Was this based on the cartoon, or was the cartoon based on Pac-land? I don't know. Maybe one of you guys can let me know. Alright, so Pac-Man's running through the desert here, collecting his little cherries to keep him going. He does like his fruit. Alright, what are those little baddies there on little flying saucers? I'm not too sure. What are the names of these ghosts? I'm sure there's one called Clyde or Clive and one called Pinky. Anyway, so let's keep on running along, trying to avoid these guys. There's not really much to this game, apart, just running from left to right. And occasionally you have to slow down, backtrack a little bit so they won't drop things on you, or they won't squish you. Look at them, they're on pogo sticks there. Whoa. Now that is what you call skill, my friends. I bet you all thought I was going to die there, but I didn't. Yeah, so all in all, yeah, this game I quite enjoyed, back in the day. It's not as impressive now as it was back then, because back then, I mean, the graphics just looked amazing. I liked anything with Pac-Man on it, and when I played this in the arcade, I just couldn't wait to go home and basically play it on one of my 8-bit computers. And again, yeah, I was a bit of a spoilt brat. I actually had all three machines. I mean, for the first couple of years, I admit it, I only had ZX Spectrum, and then I sort of moaned and moaned, then I got an Amstrad, and then I got a second-hand Commodore 64, so in the end, I had to have all versions of the games. Right, so, let's see if I can make this. It's getting a bit tricky here. There we go. Yeah, and that's why I like doing these 8-Bit War, guys. I will mention more why I like doing the 8-Bit Wars in my next Random Rambling video, which will be Random Rambling episode number 13, 8-Bit Wars. And it's basically me talking about the 8-Bit Wars. Don't know how to do this bit. Do I jump and then go, whoa? Nope, I balled that one up. Well, that's game over for me in the arcade version. And as always with the 8-Bit Wars, I move on to the Spectrum. After that, I go to the Amstrad, and then eventually the Commodore 64, and then I pick a winner. Now, not all the time do you guys agree with me, but hey, this is what the 8-Bit Wars is all about, Give your opinions, let us know what you think of the game, what you thought of it when you first got it. Let us think, what you think of the other conversions. I'm trying to be truthful, Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I know a lot of you know that I'm a big sort of like Spectrum fan, but this game is a hell of a mess, and that's not the greatest way to start the 8-Bit Wars. But I mean, look at the graphics. The graphics don't look like they've actually even been finished. They're absolutely terrible, and the worst thing is, this screen doesn't scroll. It's sort of like flick screen, so you've got to get to the end of the screen until you can actually, until it moves on. And the controls aren't necessarily the most responsive. The only good thing I would say it has got going for it is a nice rendition of the music, I think it sounds pretty similar to the arcade game, and I think that's where its strengths are. And yeah, I guess the sound effects are pretty good as well. They do look pretty good. But look at that. Is it just lazy programming? Yeah, why on earth? They could have done more, with this on the Spectrum. No wonder my Commodore 64 friends and Amstrad fans used to take the piss out of me because of this game. They loaded up their game, I loaded this up, I went to school, and they took the piss out of me. And you know what? I'm not surprised. It's just, I wouldn't say this is a great conversion. It's just really below average, and it could have been done a lot better. Right, it's just hard to do anything with this conversion. Later on in the other levels, you find it really impossible to go on because you won't be able to walk forward or anything because there's like a cactus in the way. Look, like there. If I hadn't jumped, and it's only because I know, I would have been stuck there for a little bit until I figured it out. And again, sometimes you can't see the enemies coming from the right-hand side of the screen, so you just walk right into them. And so you get a lot of cheap deaths in this game. I'm sure I made that jump. Alright, how many more lives do I have left? Yeah, I think I've got a few more. So yeah, to be honest with you, I was very disappointed with this conversion back in the day, and looking at it now, I can understand why I was pissed off, It doesn't look good at all. Like I said, the only thing it has got going for it is really nice sound effects and some amazing music. But apart from that, guys, I'll be honest with you, this isn't going to be the winner of today's 8-Bit Wars. No effing way is this going to win. Yeah. I don't know. What went wrong here, guys? Any idea? Look at that. That is so bland. They could have done a lot more with that. Does anyone actually know who programmed this? Who converted this? I don't. Whoever did it didn't have a great job on it. Right. Anyway, that was the crappy Spectrum version. Now this is the Amstrad CPC 464 version. Forgot which version it was. Alright, so yeah, nice little graphic intro. Oh yeah, and that was the other thing about the Spectrum I liked. The intro, the loading screen intro. Right. So this is Pac-land on the Amstrad, and I tell you what, already it looks a million times better than it does on the Spectrum. Everything is full colour there, and plus you get that amazing music as well. The music's just as good as it is on the Speccy. It really is. Now, I don't think there's any sound effects. Guys, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but in this version I'm playing now, it's been absolutely ages since I played the proper version on the cassette. And if memory serves me right, did it have sound effects? But to hell with it, it's got music, and it is an amazing looking game on this. Now, what it has not got going for it, what is rubbish about this, is again, like the Spectrum, the screen doesn't scroll. It's flick screen, so a lot of the time you don't see what's going on. Now that time there, basically it was my own fault. But again, I don't think the controls are very responsive in this version either. So I did try and stop there, but maybe it's my aging gaming skills, I'm not too sure. Yeah, there's no sound effects there. But the graphics, you gotta admit, guys, it does look really good. Now again there, if it weren't for like my cat-like reflexes, I would have been run over by that car, but hey. Oh, I'm praying that I get to the end of this level, because I think I've only got another life left. But again, I'll be honest with you guys, even though you guys haven't seen the Commodore 64 version at this point, I reckon this is probably the most beautiful looking version out of all three of them. I just like the colour scheme. I think it looks a lot more than the arcade than the other versions. Now don't get me wrong, the Commodore 64 version, which is coming up, does look pretty good as well. But I do like this colour scheme. Maybe there's a bit too much pink there. But again, I think what it is lacking, and again guys, correct me if I'm wrong, is the sound effects. But the music is really good. Now I think, once I got this on my Amstrad, I thought I could make it, but no such luck. Yeah, once I got this on my Amstrad, I was a lot happier because the Spectrum version just looked so ugly, and this version just had all that colour. So I did feel a lot happier. And a few years later, I managed to sort of get a second-hand copy of Pac-land for the Commodore 64, you know, and I was well impressed with this version. And that is the version that is coming up next. So yeah, that was the end of the Amstrad version. Alrighty then, let's load this up. Okay, so Pac-land for the Commodore 64. Here we go. Now straight away, guys, you'll notice that the screen does scroll, and I tell you what, that does help the game a hell of a lot, because you can actually see what's going on. You don't have to worry about sort of like walking too far into the screen. Oh crap, I slowed down there. So we'll do that again. And yeah, don't get me wrong, like I said, I prefer the Amstrad graphics, but the graphics on this are still really, really nice looking. I just prefer, actually, you know what, I think I just prefer the colour scheme on the Amstrad, not necessarily the graphics, to be fair. To be fair, I was never a big fan of the Commodore 64 colour scheme. I prefer the Amstrad colour scheme, but you know what, I think the graphics in this do look pretty nice. And again, you've got that amazing music, and what amazing music that is. If anything, I think it actually improves on the actual arcade game. Now this bit's there, you can just run right through them, they don't actually hurt you like they do in the arcade. So you can just run right through there. Look at Pac-Man looking well pissed off. Well, Pac-Man should be smiling because, you know, he's on the Commodore 64 version, which is a great version. I love the music in this, and it's got the sound effects as well, so you know what, this has got something that all the other versions were lacking. It's got that scrolling screen, which was sorely missed in the other versions. That's what was really needed, and you actually need good graphics in the Spectrum version, and this has got everything. You know what, I'm not even going to sort of try and drag this out any longer. Basically, the Commodore 64 is a winner. Because, you know what, it just feels a lot more complete, it feels like a lot more polished, and the programmers gave a damn about it. Yeah, the C64 is the winner.